Hello there, you're watching Nightline with me, Raymond. These are the headlines. Compulsory COVID-19 screening for all foreign workers. And Malaysia surpasses 100,000 cumulative COVID-19 cases. Good morning. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and the Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Aziza Amina Maimuna Iskandaria have extended their Christmas greetings to all Christians who will be celebrating the occasion throughout Malaysia. The royal couple hoped that it would bring peace, prosperity, unity and happiness to all that celebrate it. In a statement, Comptroller of the Royal Household of Istana Negara, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, said the King asked that Malaysians not be worried and be sad, as they could not celebrate Christmas as they would normally do due to the COVID-19 pandemic. His Royal Highness also advised those celebrating Christmas to observe the standard operating procedures set by the government. Their Majesties, he said, also called on the people to continue praying for the country, to be blessed and protected from any form of threats, as well as for continued prosperity and unity that have long been enjoyed by the nation. On other matters, Dato' Ahmad Fadil said Al-Sultan Abdullah, who is on a 5-day visit to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, UAE, is expected to return home on Friday. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin also extended his Christmas wishes to all Christians in Malaysia. In his special address in conjunction with the Christmas Day celebrations, he said this year's celebration would be different as the country was still riding out the COVID-19 pandemic storm.
Nasihat saya, demi kepentingan dan kebaikan bersama, kita sambutlah secara sederhana perayaan Hari Natal kali ini dengan mematuhi garis panduan ataupun SOP yang ditetapkan. Patuhilah prosedur pengambilan suhu badan, jaga penjarakan fizikal dan tidak perlulah bersalaman. Cukuplah sekadar tunduk dan letak tangan di dada sebagai tanda hormat. Amalkan juga norma baru lain seperti kerap mencuci tangan ataupun menggunakan hand sanitizer serta pakailah pelitup muka dengan betul.
The Prime Minister also prayed for on-duty frontliners and security forces personnel, as well as Malaysians abroad, and hoped that they would have a good Christmas celebration. He even called on Malaysians to continue embracing the country's racial and religious diversity, which had become the backbone in developing the nation. He cited history, specifically the Christian and Muslim communities in Andalusia, who had formed a harmonious tie that had become their source of strength to build a civilization. The National Security Council will enforce the compulsory COVID-19 screening for all foreign workers beginning January 1st. Senior Minister for Security, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said any employers who fail to comply with this directive will face legal and financial penalties under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said the government had enforced this on employers with foreign workers in all sectors in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Pulau Pinang, Negeri Sembilan and Sabah. Under the order, which began on December 1st, foreign workers in all sectors, including construction, manufacturing and commerce, need to undergo testing, with the costs borne by the employing company.
Walau bagaimanapun, KSM memaklumkan, Kementerian Sumber Manusia memaklumkan, masih terdapat ramai majikan yang enggan memberikan kerjasama untuk mematuhi arahan ini. Sehubungan dengan itu, Sidang Khas Malam bersetuju untuk menguatkuasakan arahan ini bermula 1 Januari 2021 di bawah Akta 342, di mana majikan yang gagal mematuhi arahan ini akan dikenakan tindakan undang-undang dan penalti.
He added that strict action will also be taken against employers who fail to provide conducive living quarters for their employees. Dato Sri Ismail Sabri also announced that international students will be allowed to enter the country to study at private education centres starting from January 1st next year. According to the senior minister, the entry of the students will be managed by Education Malaysia Global Services EMGS.
Ianya melibatkan pusat bahasa, pusat kemahiran, pusat latihan, pusat tuition dan pusat perkembangan minda yang berdaftar dengan KPM.
United Kingdom international students, however, will not be allowed to enter the country. He said the entry of the foreign students will depend on them getting a visa from the Immigration Department. The students will have to undergo a COVID-19 test 3 days before leaving for Malaysia and upon arrival, where they will then undergo quarantine. The cost of quarantine will be paid by the students. The total number of COVID-19 cases in the country has now breached the 100,000 level, with 100,318 cases. This comes after 1,581 new cases were detected on Thursday. Thursday's figure meant that the number of active cases nationwide is currently at 18,773, while 102 patients have been admitted into intensive care ward, 45 of whom need breathing assistance. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said Selangor continues to lead with the highest number of cases at 491, with the majority of the cases coming from clusters and close contact screening. This is followed by Kuala Lumpur with 379 cases and Sabah with 249 cases. 2 deaths were also reported in Sabah, bringing the total number of fatalities to 446 cases. Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said 1,085 patients recovered on Thursday. 4 new clusters were also reported in Selangor and Kuala Lumpur, Kebun Baru, Sungai Burung, Jalan Tun construction site and Jalan Pandan cluster.
The 2021 budget, all the appropriate ingredients to boost the economy. How to ensure timely and critical steps are taken to ensure projects and programs are implemented quickly and effectively.
Join me, Zahir Kelvin Ong Abdullah, on Money Matters this Saturday, 5 p.m, only on TV3.
Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin is confident that Pelaburan Hartanah Berhad, or PHB, will continue to focus on shouldering the trust and mandate given to enhance the Bumiputera economic capability and wealth in commercial property ownership in the country. In a post on his official Facebook page on Thursday, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said PHB, which is the operating entity of Yayasan Hartanah Bumiputera, YAHB, is also entrusted to continue to facilitate Bumiputera's participation in property investment through stable and competitive returns. Tan Sri Muhyiddin, who is YAHB chairman, chaired the Board of Trustees of YAHB online meeting on Thursday, the first since his appointment as chairman on October 16th. The meeting was held to discuss Unit Amanah Hartanah Bumiputera, AHAB's overall performance and wealth distribution mechanism, as well as PHB. Since its launch in late 2010, AHB has distributed accumulated dividends of 1.41 billion ringgit to 75,000 Bumiputera retail investors and 14 Bumiputera institutions. Meanwhile, Tan Sri Muhyiddin also shared his joy when he was informed that a total of 31.4 million ringgit has been allocated in 2020 to implement the Rents Relief Program, aimed at helping tenants in PHB buildings during the Movement Control Order period. The Tourism, Arts and Culture Ministry has identified areas that have attractiveness in terms of ecosystems, biodiversity and local products to be listed as tourism investment zones. Its Minister, Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri, said eco-tourism destinations make Malaysia the focus of tourist attractions from within and outside the country to stimulate investment in the area.
Sebab mereka berhati-hati untuk melancong. Jadi kalau mereka berhati-hati, apa yang kita nak tumpukan untuk pelancongan pelancong-pelancong dalam negara. Kita nampak yang dekat pulau-pulau ini boleh menjadi zon pelancongan yang kita sasarkan dan kita perbaikikan tempat. Kita ada gua-gua yang boleh menarik minat pelancong-pelancong yang baru ini. Baru saya nampak macam orang muda tau.
She said this after being a guest on TV3's talk show Malaysia Hari Ini at Sri Pentas in Bandar Utama on Thursday. Also present to welcome the minister were Media Prima Berhad, MPB Chairman, Dato Dr. Syed Hussein Al-Junid, MPB Group Managing Director, Dato Iskandar Mizal Mahmud, and MPB Television Network's Chief Executive Officer, Dato Khairul Anwar Saleh. Let's take a short break now, but when we come back, Frontliners keep up the Christmas spirit. All this and more when we come back. Welcome back to Nightline. As most Malaysians are busy spending the holidays with family and friends this Christmas, the nation's frontliners continue to serve the country tirelessly. Although this has been a normal occurrence for these frontliners, no matter what the festivity may be, this year is a bit different as Malaysians celebrate Christmas and New Year in a new normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is the view that greets us at the Quarantine and Low Risk Treatment Centre PKRC at Kampus Institut Pentadbiran Awam Negara Intan, Sabah on Christmas Eve. With physical distancing very much an adhered to practice among the doctors, nurses, staff and patients, they never fail to maintain a positive and festive atmosphere.
Memang mereka adalah positif, tapi stage mereka adalah ke tahap 1, iaitu stage 1 atau stage 2. Dan yang terpilih di kalangan stage 3. Kalau 4 dan 5, kami memang tidak admitkan di sini. Mereka perlukan bantuan yang lebih terperinci dan di bawah pakar dan admit di hospital yang berkenaan saja.
Christmas holidays have already begun in Sabah, albeit being celebrated in the new normal among the multiracial staff at the PKRC. The holiday spirit and togetherness celebrated here helps cure the longing of those who are not able to return to their hometowns.
Tapi bila saya dapat sampai rumah, I think the first thing is to eat my mother's food lah. Memang dah 2 bulan tak makan nasi emak kan. Jadi bila sampai nak minta masak sikit yang sedap sikit lah untuk saya.
PKRC Intan is operated by Tuaran Hospital, which also manages another PKRC at the People's Volunteer Corps Rela Sepangga, with each centre providing 210 beds and 60 beds respectively. A total of 2,073 patients have been treated at PKRC Intan since October 8th, while 116 patients at Rela Sepangga ever since it started operating on November 10th.
Agar semua agensi agar terus bekerja dengan lebih mantap, ya. Dan mudah-mudahan sebulan 2 ini kita akan mendapat vaksin insyaAllah kan. Dan COVID-19 ini kita akan dapat perangilah.
With 3 blocks of accommodation, the PKRC Intan provides a conducive and comfortable atmosphere for patients, almost akin to a hotel or resort stay.
So, pengurusan kita dan penyelenggaraan kita pastikan keselesaan pejabat awam tu. Dan kalau dalam urusan sebagai pusat kuarantin dan juga extended ward ni, kita teruskanlah memberikan kemudahan penginapan yang terbaik.
Pengalaman di kampus Intan ni, sepanjang berada di sini, pihak hospital telah memberi rawatan, telah memberi nasihat, khidmat nasihat yang cukup baik kepada kami semua, terutama yang sakit-sakit COVID ni lah.
Residents in Kelantan have been urged to make early preparations for the possibility of a third wave of floods in the state. Menteri Besar Dato' Ahmad Yaakob said they should be vigilant and monitor the Malaysian Meteorological Department weather forecast. The flood situation in Kelantan has improved, and based on the Social Welfare Department's info Banjir, there were only 220 evacuees from 101 families still at 3 flood relief centres in Pasir Mas as of 10 p.m, and that's down from 307 people earlier in the day. Meanwhile, Rantau Panjang Fire and Rescue Station Chief Imran Ismail said Sungai Golok in Rantau Panjang still recorded a reading of above the danger level at 9.55 metres, but were seeing a downward trend. He added that the water level situation of Sungai Golok is currently under control and is improving. Based on weather conditions, the flood situation is expected to improve further, and authorities expect more residents will be allowed to return home by Friday morning. New virus strain in the UK now found in Singapore. This and more in the Foreign Front when we return. The European Union and United Kingdom have finally reached a post-Brexit trade deal, ending months of disagreements over fishing rights and future business rules. Prime Minister Boris Johnson will shortly hold a press conference confirming the agreement. Meanwhile, EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen said the negotiations were very difficult, with lots at stake for many, and it was an agreement worth fighting for.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So we have finally found an agreement. It was a long and winding road, but we have got a good deal to show for it. It is fair, it is a balanced deal, and it is the right and responsible thing to do for both sides.
Negotiators from the European Union and Britain worked through the night and right into Christmas Eve to put the finishing touches on a trade deal that should avert a chaotic economic break between the two sides on New Year's Day. After resolving the remaining fair competition and almost all fisheries issues on Wednesday, negotiators combed through hundreds of pages of legal text that should become the blueprint for a post-Brexit relationship. Now comes the race to approve and ratify the deal before the UK leaves the EU's economic structures at the end of the year. The British and European parliaments both must hold votes on the agreement. Singapore reported one confirmed case with the UK B117 virus strain, involving a 17-year-old female Singaporean who was studying in the United Kingdom. According to the Republic's Health Ministry, in light of recent reports that the B117 strain, a potentially more contagious variant of the COVID-19 virus, is circulating in the UK, the National Public Health Laboratory is performing viral genomic sequencing for confirmed COVID-19 cases who had arrived from Europe recently. A total of 31 imported cases from Europe who arrived in Singapore between November 17th and December 17th, 2020 were confirmed to have COVID-19 infection in December 2020. Amongst them, the Health Ministry said one has been found to carry the new virus variant. The ministry noted that there was currently no evidence that the B117 strain is circulating in the community. All the cases had been placed on a 14-day stay-home notice at dedicated facilities or isolated upon arrival in Singapore, and their close contacts had been quarantined earlier. As a precautionary measure to reduce the risk of spread, Singapore announced on Wednesday that all long-term pass holders and short-term visitors with recent travel history to the UK within the last 14 days will not be allowed entry into Singapore or transit through Singapore. Meanwhile, in the UK, a new potentially more infectious variant of the coronavirus has been found in Britain in cases linked to South Africa. British Health Secretary Matt Hancock said, quoting South Africa's Health Department, that last week a new genetic mutation of the virus had been discovered and might be responsible for a recent surge in infections there.
This new variant is highly concerning because it is yet more transmissible and it appears to have mutated further than the new variant that's been discovered in the UK. We've taken the following action. First, we are quarantining cases and close contacts of cases found here in the UK. Second, we're placing immediate restrictions on travel from South Africa. And finally, and most importantly, anyone in the UK who has been in South Africa in the past fortnight and anyone who is a close contact of someone who's been in South Africa in the last fortnight must quarantine immediately.
Britain is already trying to curb the spread of a mutated strain of the virus, which is up to 70% more transmissible, and further studies are being carried out on the new variant. Countries around the world have in recent days closed their borders to both Britain and South Africa, following the identification of the new fast-spreading variant of the coronavirus. Now let's take a look at the highlights in Malaysia's main newspapers for Friday, December the 25th. The New Straits Times highlights Christmas celebrations amid the new norm, with a festive cheer persisting, albeit on a smaller scale with family and friends. A report on a family of 5 living in their car for 8 months after their house was burned down is among the top stories featured on Malaysia's best-selling Malay newspaper, Harian Metro. And an article on an urban poor database that will ease the aid process takes the front page of Berita Harian. Don't forget to get your copies or subscribe to the online newspaper. Now, the famous Malaysian dessert known as cake lapis has earned its popularity globally. A Sarawakian based in the UK has made cake lapis a go-to dessert choice this Christmas, with a meaningful message describing the physicality of the cake, its multiple colors representing global unity among different nationalities, races and religions in handling the pandemic. Let's take a look at the visuals as we wrap up. You've been watching Nightline. I'm Raymond Goh, and here's wishing all our viewers from all of us at the studios here on Nightline, Merry Christmas and stay safe.